Those charged are the current chairman of the Police Service Commission and former Assistant Commissioner of Police Paul Slow, member of the PSC and retired Assistant Commissioner Clinton Conway, Assistant Commissioner Royston Andres Jr., former police finance officers, Woman Senior Superintendent Marceline Washington, and retired Senior Superintendent Michael Sutton, staff of the Police Finance Office, Assistant Superintendent Marlon Kelman, and 3 retired officers identified as Assistant Commissioner Claude Whitaker, Senior Superintendent George Fraser, and Superintendent Mark Gilbert. Washington and Sutton were charged also with misconduct in public office. Slow and Washington were not present at court as they are out of the jurisdiction, and their matters were adjourned to June 14, 2021, when they should return to answer the charges. In the conspiracy charge, the court heard that Slow, Conway, Whitaker, Fraser, Gilbert, Andres Jr., Washington, Sutton, and Kelman, between March 1, 2019 and July 7, 2020, at the Guyana Police Force headquarters, Eve Leary, conspired together and with other persons to defraud the state of more than $10 million. It is alleged that Slow, Conway, Whitaker, Fraser, and Gilbert were paid the money without complying with the proper procedures, purportedly to do a review of the force standing orders. It was found that this review had already commenced in July 2018 and concluded in March 2019 by the Strategic Planning Unit of the force. They were not required to plead to the indictable charge and were granted bail in the sum of $100,000 each. As it relates to the misconduct charge against Sutton, it is alleged that while performing duties as finance officer between July 1st to the 31st of 2019, he willfully misconducted himself by falsely signing 7 payment vouchers as the accounting officer when he was not authorized to do so, enabling Paul Slow, Clinton Conway, Claude Whitaker, George Fraser, and Mark Gilbert to be paid a total of more than $1.7 million without the approval of Daniela McCalman, the accounting officer, and without any reasonable excuse or justification. He was granted an additional $100,000 bail for this offense. They were all represented by a team of lawyers consisting of Nigel Hughes, Patrice Henry, Darren Wade, Dexter Todd, Dennis Paul, E. Lamy, and N. Leander. Speaking to the media after the court proceedings, Attorney Hughes said that the charges were not based in fact and merit.
Let me be kind here and note that these charges I don't believe are based in fact, and certainly from my experience don't seem to have much basis for them to be leveled against these persons. As you know, all of the persons who have been charged are of impeccable character and they've all stood on their integrity. You've got people who have served this country for over 40 years without any allegation, without any even suggestion of an allegation, who have been charged. Former assistant commissioners, former deputy commissioners, never before in their entire lives. And now in the twilight of their lives to be dragged like common criminals before the court in matters in which there appears to be no evidence. For example, in the particulars of the charge, they couldn't even identify what alleged procedures were breached. So this is a very, very serious and very unfortunate development.
The newsroom understands that investigations conducted by the Special Organized Crime Unit revealed that Leslie James, the former Commissioner of Police, solely hired Slow, Conway, Whitaker, Gilbert, and Fraser to conduct a complete revision of the standing orders. SOCO alleged that James did not prepare a budget for the service that was offered. He made no contractual arrangements with the specifications of what was to be revised and the terms of payment. It is also alleged that the former top cop never sent for nor received approval from the Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Public Security, nor the National Procurement and Tender Administration Board. It is SOCO's case that the payments amounted to over $10 million, and it should have been budgeted and sent to the tender board for approval. SOCO is contending that the very standing orders that James hired the former officers to revise were already revised by highly qualified and competent policy analysts of the Strategic Planning Unit. It was also discovered that even though the hefty sum was paid to the officers in question, they did not provide the force with a completed revised standing order. SOCU discovered that the payment accounts were prepared individually from March 2019 upon instructions from the head of the Strategic Planning Unit, Assistant Commissioner Royston Andrews, Jr. It is alleged that upon his transfer from the unit in November 2019, he instructed the new head of the SPU to ensure she continues making out payment accounts for the said officers. She made out accounts as instructed until February 2020. An examination by SOCU of over 60 payment vouchers showed that Washington and Sutton signed 15 payment vouchers, collectively as the accounting officer. As a result of what they did, Kelman entered the information into the IFMIS, although the vouchers were not approved and signed by the substantive accounting officer. The case is adjourned to June 3, 2021. For the newsroom, I am Shakima Day.